We are Bob and Susie, and we travel in our RV, affectionately named Buzie, with our kitty Roary. As part of a 7-week trip, we entered Canada after visiting Glacier National Park. We hope this video inspires you to see some sites we visited. After crossing the border, we headed for Banff to see the famous area and meet up with our friends Shelley and Lynn from Edmonton.
A stroll down Banff Avenue is the perfect way to get acquainted with this gorgeous little town. We started out walking and had a cocktail at Rose and Crown. Shelley made reservations at Coyote's, one of their favorites. After dinner, we explored more of the area, stopping at St. James Irish Pub for live music before heading home.
The next morning, Bob's birthday, Lynn drove us to Johnston Canyon. A feeling of disappointment washed over everyone but Bob when we saw that the upper falls was closed. Bob was content with hiking only the lower falls. And it was his birthday after all. Woo-hoo! A prospector named Johnston is said to have discovered the creek in the 1880s. During that frontier era, miners sought their fortunes along the newly laid tracks of the Canadian Pacific Railway. When Johnston's dreams didn't pan out, he must have moved on, leaving nothing but his name behind.
Following the trail upwards takes one past two waterfalls, Lower Johnston Falls and Upper Johnston Falls. The Lower Falls hike is a short and easy, with the falls located just over half a mile from the trailhead. It's around a 1-hour round trip and is really easy going on the whole, especially when you're 1 year older. From the lower falls, you can continue walking for an additional half hour in order to reach the upper falls.
After breakfast in Banff, we drove to the gondola. The Banff gondola soars you to the top of Sulphur Mountain. The cozy 4-person pods are modern and made of glass, allowing you to enjoy the spectacular mountain scenery as you ascend. The gondola ride is 6 minutes long, finishing at the summit with an interactive center full of activities and knowledge.
Your first stop, Sulphur Mountain, should be the large rooftop observation deck. From here, the panoramic views are unparalleled, swooping downward to the town of Banff and Bow Valley, and outward to 6 mountain ranges.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the top. Sulphur Mountain.
Thank you.
Next, enjoy an easygoing stroll along the Sulphur Mountain Boardwalk. It's a half mile, or about 1 kilometer, self-guided interpretive trail.
What did you guys think of this gondola ride up to the top? I'm interviewing you.
Oh, it was scary. So scary. I had to look up the whole time.
What'd you think, Lynn?
Oh, it's so much fun. Beautiful
It's
scenery.
nice, isn't it?
The placards you pass will provide interesting facts and information on the area's rich wildlife and history.
There's Shelley. When we left the gondola and headed home, we drove right by an elk. In the evening, we set off to celebrate Bob's birthday at the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel.
This historic hotel was built in 1888 and is today the emblem of Banff.
Next, we headed for the Banff Hot Springs. After a long day in the vast Canadian wilderness, nothing brings peace and relaxation quite like a soothing bath in a natural hot spring. The next day, we wanted to see some of the beautiful lakes we've heard so much about. Lake Moraine. The crisp turquoise lake is backed by the magnificent Canadian Rockies, creating a scene so picturesque and idyllic that it has to be seen to believed.
Perhaps even more enchanting than Louise Lake, Moraine Lake shares the vibrant turquoise color of its well-known neighbor. At Moraine Lake, the tourist crowds are replaced with empty Canadian landscape, which makes for a more peaceful and personal experience. If you have the energy for a hike, head up the Rock Pile Trail. It's a fairly short and easygoing trail that culminates at a large pile of rocks. Clamber up on the rocks and rejoice at the vista in front of you. The valley of the 10 Peaks in all its glory and landscape reflecting off the turquoise water. Even I enjoyed this hike, and the higher vantage point offered a more breathtaking view. It was well worth the effort.
This is Moraine Lake. Look at that color. Lake Louise was our next stop. The jewel of Banff National Park is Lake Louise with its shimmering turquoise green water and surrounding snow-capped mountains rising up to 3,000 meters high. The entire lake is paved to walk around. You may by now be wondering what causes the incredible color of this picturesque pair of lakes. Well, wonder no more. The color is imparted by what is known as rock flour, which is effectively a finely ground stone powder created through glacial erosion. We walked through town later and ended our evening at Three Bear Brewing.
On Monday, it was time to check out of our RV park to drive to Salmon Arm.
In the morning, Lynn drove us to Wineries in Penticton. This is a gorgeous area full of grapes and other fruit trees being grown. Our first stop was Dirty Laundry. After listening to the story of the winery, we had a tasting before wandering around, looking at the interesting sights. Stopping next at 8th Generation Winery, we sat outside for our tasting and enjoyed the vines, the wine, and the company. We didn't do a tasting at Mount Boucherie, but we ate lunch there instead. It was really good. Next, we headed to Mission Hills. We were not able to taste their wines because they were booked up, but we were allowed to walk around the winery and shop in the store. It was beautiful.
Wednesday morning, we went to the wharf of Salmon Arm. Here we hiked at various places around the lake.
Very funny.
There's the wharf we were at.
And then ate lunch at Barley Brewery. I can vouch for the quality of these fine ales. After lunch, Susie and Shelley decided shopping was a good idea.
Thursday, we set out to watch the salmon run at Adams Lake. It was still a week or so early because the water was too warm, but we saw some bigger fish slowly making their way upriver. Female salmon lay 4,000 eggs. 900 survived to move into Shuswap Lake for a year. By spring of the second year, the remaining 450 out of 4,000 are 4 times their size and ready for the 485-kilometer journey to Fraser River. Only 250 remain, leaving Fraser River for the Pacific Ocean. They stay in the ocean for 2.5 years before the remaining 10 start the journey home. Only 2 salmon survive to spawn in
Eggs,
Adams River.
and then they just die.
Finz Bar and Grill is a waterfront restaurant. The view is spectacular, overlooking Shuswap Lake in beautiful Blind Bay, BC. We enjoyed the gorgeous view, and I tried poutine. I'm really enjoying Canadians' favorite foods. I use a lot of resources to research my travel. I'll include some of those websites below. We'll see you next time.